Hello there my fellow holotable heroes and welcome to another SWGOH video. So with the Conquest slowly coming to an end here, the exhibition season, the first one, I thought it would be a good idea here just to create a video talking about the 5 things that I have learned from this exhibition of the Conquest, that when the next one comes around, that we already know what to expect a little bit and what decisions to make in certain teams and strategies and discs and everything. So let's just get into it. Now the first and probably the most important thing when it comes to Conquest are data discs. Now in my opinion, the most important data discs is deployable cooling systems, because it allows your units whenever they gain a buff to also reduce their cooldowns, and then this allows guys like Vader and Yoda just to get turn meter loops over and over again, which makes a lot of feats and battles achievable. Without deployable cooling systems, I think a lot of the feats, especially the boss feats, would be very hard to achieve even using a galactic legend. So this is definitely one that made the biggest difference here in the initial Conquest. Now in order for this data disc to work really well here, you obviously need to have some data discs that are apply buffs, such as the offensive buff disc, heal over time. There's also the defensive buff disc, but I did not get it here this time around in this account. And then you can also add other discs that gain some bonuses from buffs. Like this one is very good, debuff dismantler, which allows your guys to cleanse. It's like having Traya on your team, but Traya only cleanses Sith, whereas this one will cleanse everybody. Then health recovery was very useful as well when we needed to complete the health recovery feat. And then you got stacking offense. I don't find this one particularly useful because the guys hit pretty hard already. This one is pretty cool as well. So whenever you gain a buff, you also gain turn meter. So this just allows your guys to get more turns in. And then another one here is the protection recovery. Again, not all that useful, I think, but I just wanted to show it. It's there. And finally, massively overpowered. So after an ally has gained 10 buffs, which all these buffs going around, this would happen almost every turn. They gain massively overpowered effect for 1 turn, and this will allow them to deal them massive damage on the turn. The next most important disc after all those buff discs, I would say, is the leader resolve, which will significantly boost all the key stats for your leader. So this comes very handy in battles where the enemy is very fast, and then you could put your leader in the healing slot and then might go before them or earlier in the battles. And also it adds them some extra health, protection and offense. So this is definitely one of these. If you do come across it, I definitely recommend picking it up next time. There's another kind of series of discs here that maybe could be powerful if paired together. So whenever enemy falls below 100% health, your guys gain turn meter, they gain offense, and then the deadly momentum there as well. It gives you extra shield penetration, extra offense, and then this triggers also at 70 and 40% health. So also this kind of set, maybe if you run Night Sisters and Talzin gets a quick turn if she's in the leader slot, and you have leader resolve disc on her, her AoE ignores protection, so it will go straight for health, and then they will immediately in turn 1 enemies fall below 100% health, and then you could start getting nice boots there. Now unfortunately I didn't have a chance to test this out in practice, just because CG decided to charge us for unequipping data discs. Now the basic discs cost 5 credits, but some of the top discs they even cost like 15 credits to unequip. I really wish this wouldn't be the case, because this would just allow us to have more fun, test out different disc combinations with different teams. Like this, you do want to save your credits for Razor Crest shards and maybe some gear or the relic materials in the stores. So you can see I'm only down to 15 credits. Now before I move on to my second point I want to talk about, also let's talk about the randomness of these discs, right? Because there is one particular one that when we did the first go with normal difficulty, I got the booming voice in one of my accounts discs, which is brilliant. So this, every time your leader uses an ability, he calls all of his allies to assist. So this was very helpful, especially for those feats where you have to like attack out of turn or get certain amount of critical hits in a row and things like that. It made those feats the first time around much easier. So definitely like having so random these data disks. I wish they would not be as random, because then, you know, when we do certain feats, and then if you don't have the right data disk, then certain feats become nearly impossible. So definitely wish that you know, there would be some sort of different way to give a selection of these that would be more consistent, not purely random, because sometimes then you rely on RNG on what kind of disks you get. And then finally mentioning as well that these data disks do stack. So for example, if you would have 2 heal overtimes, I tested this out actually. If you'd have, I equipped 2 heal overtime disks, then at the beginning I was getting 4 heal overtime. So these disks do stack. So you could, for example, also stack the deployable cooling systems. So you know, the more you have, the greater the chance to reduce. But for my testing, even having one at 8 or 10% was enough. I didn't need to add more to stacking, but just I wanted to highlight, if you weren't aware, that disks, the bonuses from disks will be stacking. Now for my second point, let's talk about enemies here. These enemies are random, so again, what I get, what you get will not always be the same. They will be different. We do have some slight, you know, each of us like choice which path we want to take through. So just want to talk about like which enemies obviously to try to avoid and which one to try and target. Now what I found out that, for example, like Night Sisters, Ewoks, Geos, they're great for various feats. Just because Ewoks, you know, they take lots of turns, so you can quickly stack thermal detonators on them with Jawas. And then Night Sisters and Geos, they got obviously Night Sisters got revives, and Geos, they can keep summoning Geobrood. So these two teams are excellent for those feats where you need to get like lots of marks in there or lots of hits or something like that, because you have, you know, basically unlimited amount of enemies because of the revives and resummoning Geobrood and things like that. So that's definitely these three teams. If you do see them, try go after them, so then you can use them to complete some of the feats that we have. Now, speaking of enemies themselves, while obviously it's nice that we see the relic levels, how many Zetas they have and things like that, it would be nice if we can tap on them and check their stats, especially speed, because in a lot of cases, you know, if the enemy goes first versus a powerful team, you know, things could quickly turn ugly for you. So it will be definitely good to know what the speeds are, so when you're going in, you can make sure that you will have the turn order that you do want. So something maybe hopefully that CG will allow us, that we could just tap on these guys and then just view their stats, so that we know exactly what we are going up against, because this is not Galactic Challenge where you can go multiple times in. Here, every time you go in, you basically lose energy. So obviously, you know, the testing and fooling around basically costs you energy, which is, you know, not ideal here. So I really wish they would give us some sort of way that we can actually scout the team we're going up against much better before we go into the battle. Let me see if I can find the team that's probably what many of us will find the most annoying. The reason probably why I can't find it, because I kept avoiding them. So there you go, the Galactic Republic. And the reason why they're like annoying to go against is the steadfast retribution modifier they get, which basically reflects the damage dealt back onto your guys. So definitely against teams like this, like Yula's infinite loop of AoE is a blessing, because he can just keep spamming AoE, and even though, you know, he has 0 health, more like 1 health already, because they never get a turn, you're still going to win. So definitely going up against these guys, deployable cooling system these, and Master Yoda, Grandmaster Yoda, you know, they can take care of these all Galactic Republic teams, no issues whatsoever. Now the next thing, let's talk about feats themselves. Now each sector on its own will have some specific feats here. Now here we had, you know, quite straightforward feats. It was nothing really that crazy here in Sector 1. Then in Sector 2, we had more feats here. Again, you know, nothing too crazy here from these feats. They're all quite straightforward to achieve. But then now as we jump here into Sector 3, now one of the feats here was that you have to apply 50 thermal detonators on enemies. So this was a fun one. You could just throw in rain Jawas or do some sort of, you know, Thrawn Terminator loop with bounty hunters, as I've showed in one of my videos before. So this was definitely a fun one. Then moving on, here in Sector 4, we had feat where we have to mark at least 40 enemies, but as we have found out, this is not the case. Also, when you mark your allies, this counts as well here, feat. So you know, this was either description is inaccurate or the actual mechanics, how they count marked, is not accurate. But anyway, this was a fun one after, you know, you figure out that works as well. And then finally, in sector 5, we can just review feats there. Again here, have to, you know, inflict 300 damage over times, having infinite Vader loop. That wasn't an issue at all. So overall, I did like these feats a lot. Then obviously we have event feats as well, so it's all good. The question only is obviously, will these feats be the same every conquest or not? Will they change? I would imagine some of these feats will be the same, but there's some of them, you know, will be different, same as in Galactic Challenge. Every time we have a new one, some feats slightly change. And that's why I think, you know, they will be having Conquest for 2 weeks and then 2-week break, just that it gives them some time in between, maybe to, you know, program some new feats for us to achieve. Now for the 4th point here in my video, let's talk about bosses. Now, you know, some of them were more challenging than the other. The winning themselves, you know, wasn't that hard because of all the powerful data disks, especially deploying cooling system disk we got. Probably the one that could be true, that kind of was tricky in one way, was this one here, where you have to remove turn meter, because 3 of the enemies you're going up against you can't remove turn meter from. So I'm not sure if this was you know, the ideal combination CG put for us. So I'm hoping in the future, if you do have a turn meter remover feat, that, you know, we are going up against enemies that you can actually remove turn meter from. And similar like for Jedi Master Luke, these guys, they have so much critical damage, immunity buffs going on around, things like that, because of Jedi Master Luke, that, you know, landing those critical hits in a row could be tricky, again, if you do not have deployable cooling system disks. So definitely, you know, these feats, while they were challenging, it would be much easier if we would actually have counters for these feats, so as you're progressing through the battle, that you can actually see, okay, how many points have I healed already, or how many critical hits did I score, how much turn meter I removed. Because like this, you know, without knowing, you're just kind of guessing and looping through same attacks over and over again for 10 minutes, where maybe you were already done after 5 minutes. So definitely, you know, I think for these harder feats, this would be very, very helpful to see, you know, your progress as you go along through the battle. Now the question again is, will these boss battles be the same in the next conquest? Will these feats be the same? My guess is that the actual boss battles will be different, and then probably each boss battle, if it does return, it will probably have the same feats, same as we have kind of in Galactic Challenges. Certain factions are kind of tied to certain feats. So that would be my guess, but we'll see how it goes. But I would be shocked if, you know, the next season of the Conquest, we get exactly the same bosses, exactly the same feats, because then it'll get too repetitive. And I think CG acknowledges that they do need to throw, you know, some new challenges at us next time. But valuable lessons we learn here is obviously point 1, talking about the data disks. You absolutely, the first chance you get to get the deployable cooling system disk, absolutely grab it, as well as, you know, at least 2 disks that give you buffs at the beginning of the turn, so either offensive, defensive buffs, or heal over time buffs. You need at least 2 of those, you know, that you have a very good chance to keep reducing your cooldowns. Now there'll be some chat that there might be some nerf coming to this disc. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. And then secondly, here, when it comes to boss battles, there are some key characters here that you made all these feats possible. You know, we got Thrawn in there, we got Vader, Moff Gideon, Watt, and Grandmaster Yoda. Those are probably like 5 characters. Oh, and Malak. Those are 6 characters here that were, you know, very, very important to achieving all the boss feats. So, you know, if those are the characters you don't have yet, and you do want to perform well in Conquest and get the max rewards every time, then, you know, try to make sure that you do work on those characters. Like Watt, you know, he doesn't have to be a relic. As long as you have him, he can go out, dish, you know, attack, and even if he dies after that, it doesn't really matter. So, you know, those guys are really, really important here for achieving those feats. And finally, let's talk about the rewards here. Obviously it depends which box you got, but you know, whichever you got, I think, you know, the rewards are kind of good here. So if we look at the box here, so in hard one you get 20 Razor Crest shards, you get some here relic material, and you know, some gear slicing material. So the difference between boxes, to be honest, is not all that big. So you can see they both get gear 12 plus, they get injector. So you know, but there are small differences. I feel like there isn't like a huge difference between the boxes themselves. Obviously got max rewards here, so this is what I'll be getting. Probably the biggest difference is Razor Crest shards between the boxes, but when it comes to relic materials, slicing materials, as well as gear, well, there are some differences. They're not like a whole lot big difference between them. So the key reward here really is Razor Crest shards, or well, blueprints for the ships. So overall, I'm very happy with the rewards that we'll be getting, except I wish we would be able to get more credits, and that's because here in sector 3, 4 and 5 in the stores, you can buy blueprints here for Razor Crest at 500 credits each. So you only have to reserve 1,500 credits just for those blueprints in every conquest, which means you don't have a whole lot of credits to go around here to unequip data discs, as well as, you know, maybe get some gears or relic materials or things like that. Because if you look at these scavenger nodes where you can buy stuff, let me go and find one. So there you go, there's a lot of cool stuff here that you can buy, like Zimbindle cards. These are very hard to get. And then there are some with the gear as well, maybe here. Yeah, for example, here you got some cool relic material as well. So it's a lot of stuff here that could be really useful. Let me find one with gear. Okay, so this one's got as well more relic stuff, and then we come into the gear. And I would love, you know, to buy more of this stuff, but we don't get enough credits, I feel like, throughout the event, that, you know, we could actually buy some gear or relic material. It's pretty much Razor Crest shards and then unequipping discs, and then maybe a not purchase here and there. So in terms of rewards, overall the actual reward boxes I think are very good. I just wish we would be getting more credits here. Alright guys, I hope you find this video useful and helpful. Obviously whenever the next conquest comes up, we will have to wait and see what's ahead. Luckily when it does start, you can view all the 5 bosses. Unfortunately, there's one addition I would like them to make, that, you know, you can go into the sector already ahead and scout, because just showing me a boss here is not really helpful. I need to see what feats I will need to achieve, so as I'm going through sector progressing, that I know what discs I need to collect. So hopefully they will allow us to preview sectors that we didn't unlock yet, just that we can prepare ourselves better. But on that, you know, the conquest, I think in my mind has been a success so far. Fun modes to play around with great rewards. Obviously playing back to back the same one was a bit repetitive, but you know, this is just because it was exhibition. I'm pretty sure every conquest will have different enemies, different battles, different feats, maybe even some new data discs and new rewards. We'll have to wait and see. This has only been exhibition so far, and even they said that the rewards here and anything obviously is not final, it's just initial run. They will get some stats back and analytics, and then they'll tweak things for the next one, I'm pretty sure. But whenever I do, obviously, I'll let you guys know via a new video. But until then, thank you for watching, have fun, enjoy life, and may the RNG be with you, my friends.